Guys, so we're about to spend over an hour hanging out with our subscribers, going over their dynasty trades and dynasty questions. But there's also going to be 50% of people watching this on replay who are going to bail within 30 seconds. So they're lost, right?
That's
No,
hurtful.
hang around, but visit our channel if you want to bounce. Inbox offer though, we got to help out one of our subs here. 12-team Superflex, tight end premium, start 11, middle of the pack team. Have Allen and Mahomes, but I have no depth. Give Josh Allen, get Justin Fields, Jalen Waddle, and a late 23 second. What say you?
Give Josh Allen, get Justin Fields, Waddle. No, that's not enough. Not enough. I know we were all creaming over Justin Fields, but that's not enough to make that happen.
No,
Not enough?
Listen, when you have Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, why do you want depth? Rhetorical question. You literally finish top 6 or better with those guys every single year, no matter what happens in between, barring they don't get hurt. Now, I understand you're probably a little worried about the Josh Allen elbow injury, but aside from that, and I don't think that would be a reason to make a dynasty trade, right? Unless it's just extreme value. Like if you're getting 95% of Josh Allen's value, okay, trade him away. If you're scared about the elbow injury, not 80%. But I guess I just look at it like you have Allen and Mahomes. Every year, all you have to do is be more active than everybody else. Grind some of the later picks, some of the liquidation opportunities, and literally you're just filling in the gaps. You don't need studs at receiver. You don't need studs at tight end. You don't need the studs at running back. You just kind of got to fill in the points. If these guys produce as they are, you're always going to be in the mix.
I don't know, man. Start 11. That ain't true. I've got teams where I've got monster quarterbacks, and then I've neglected the other part of the roster, and it looks like I need help. But Justin Fields, Waddle, on a 23 second isn't enough to fill that up. Not my
What if it were you give Josh Allen, you get Justin Fields, an early 23 first, Jalen Waddle, and a 24 first. Is that enough for you in the start 11?
I mean, that's getting to like 6 or 7 first. Because, I mean, we were debating earlier. Fields is now Kyler, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts value. Basically, if I'm selling him, that's what I want. And you're tacking in Waddle and 2 more firsts, one of them being early. Like, yeah, we're getting into like, that's like 7 firsts. So yeah, you take that even if you're in first place and you have Josh Allen, you know? So I just don't think this is enough. If you're really scared, then do it. Like it's your team. But I guess I just look at like, if you give me Allen and Mahomes and not a just death roster around them, but just average players that Shane would go. And this is where Shane, I don't want to just go off the tangent on this, but this is where Shane and I play Dynasty a little bit differently, right? Like we've gotten into a lot of roster reviews where Shane's looking at the roster going, we need hammers. I'm looking at the roster going like, you're not even in roster construction yet. Yep. You're away from it. You need more assets. So maybe that's where we play Dynasty a little differently, but I'm just not breaking up Allen Mahomes. Not for this.
Not for that offer. They definitely know. I like Clay's offer. So if Clay makes me that offer,
I got you,
bro. Clay isn't making that offer though. He throws it out there, but you put that in Clay's inbox and he's going, no, I'm not buying Josh Allen for that.
I'm good. Okay, let's throw up another inbox offer that we had though. So 12-team Superflex, tight end premium, start 11. This is a contender. Give the 101, guaranteed 101 apparently is what the comment was. Oh. Give the 101 a late 23 first, Jimmy G, Najee Harris, and Treylon Burks. Get Patrick Mahomes and Derrick Henry. So he said he already has Hurts and Watson. So what do you think? You're giving the 101, a late 23 first, Jimmy G, Najee, and Burks. You're getting Patty Mahomes and Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I'm
good with it.
Yeah, I'll figure out how I'm going to sell one of those quarterbacks later, but just that's Mahomes, bro. As much as I'd love to have Bijan Robinson on my roster, if you're giving me a choice between Mahomes and Bijan, I'm taking Mahomes, and I don't even know what Bijan's doing tonight, unless he started playing quarterback tonight. You know, he does everything for Texas, so maybe.
And look at that quarterback room after this trade too. You've got Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, and quite frankly, that whoever's trading Mahomes on that is selling really low. I hope they're watching and they withdraw this offer because what are you doing, bro? And you're just like, oh, here's a free Derrick Henry. There you go. There's a top 5 running back for the rest of the year and probably next year too because he's a mutant.
Yeah,
See,
I like this one.
This gets into the debate of what is the 101 worth. Because if you plug it into trade calculators, it's worth 3 firsts. Then you throw in the late first, then you throw in Burks and Najee and Jimmy G. That's probably 5 to 6 value in terms of firsts. Derrick Henry's worth at least a first. Like we've kind of agreed that he's just one of those guys. If you can get him for a mid to late first, ride it out. But then it's still like 4 to 5 firsts for Mahomes. But then you put the deal on the screen, and I'm having to take my 5 to 6 firsts in value, and I'm having to take it in the form of 5 pieces. Like it's not. I'm not getting 3 studs for Mahomes. I'm getting basically 2 first players, Burks in the late first, and then Jimmy G and not. You know what I mean? It's not the value's there, but the form of what I'm getting the value in isn't. So yeah, that's why I think we're like it's a smash. Great deal.
Yep. Okay, so I think this one is important too. While we're talking a lot about quarterbacks, this was a good question that somebody had in the community tab on YouTube. How important is your QB3 in Superflex, and how many would be too much? In a Superflex start 9, I've got Deshaun Watson, Justin Fields, and Zach Wilson. I've got a lot of picks. He said he had a litany of picks, and he was looking to send 3+ first for Herbert, which we obviously would do. We, I just posted a TikTok today saying we would do up to 4 for Herbert. But talk to me about QB3s in Superflex. Like, how much should we care about having a really strong QB3?
I care about it. I don't care about it enough to pay 3 firsts for Justin Herbert when I had Justin Fields and Deshaun Watson. I'm fine. I'm going to let that ride out. If someone wants to take Zach Wilson in a first for Herbert, I'll do that. I'm usually okay with like, can I get the Jimmy G guy, right? I generally just want a guy that's going to get me through the week. I mean, there's some, I won't even lie to you. There's some leagues where Superflex, I only have 2 quarterbacks because I've paid so much for the quarterbacks that I'm like, I'm not putting any more into this. If someone gives me another one and wants to add them to a trade, fine. I'll get Garoppolo or whoever, Tyler Huntley. It's fine. I start 9. I don't think you want to overinvest. You get the 2 studs and then you just get what you get for backups.
Yeah, so I think the number of starters matters here. Think about it this way. In a start 9, you can never afford to have a week off at quarterback. You can't afford to be, I'm going to have 2 bye weeks with I take zeros, or I have to start a skill player. Let's say a quarterback goes out for a month. Then what? Like you can actually have a really strong team in a start 9, but if you are then going from, okay, let's say Watson gets back. He's a top 10 producer. Fields has been a top 10 producer. You lose one of those guys for a month. That is now a really big hole that you're going to have trouble probably filling. So I think the shallower the leagues are, and I think we see this in a lot of our deeper leagues, you're missing a quarterback and you got to start Davis Mills for a week or Taylor Heineke for a week. You can still win because you look at some of your matchups and you're like, it's start 12. My opponent is starting like 3 absolute dog shit players. You know what I mean? Like you can still, you can still win. Start 9, as soon as you go down from like a tier 1 to a tier 4, you're starting Taylor Heineke against the Eagles this week. Like if you replace Fields with that's a 15-point hole you're in now at that one spot. And you only have 8 other spots to make up for it. So I think at a start 9, you're probably thinning out the number of core players you're carrying because it's a start 9, but you're going to prioritize having a decent QB3. And not saying you want to pay in this case, but if you had to pay Zach Wilson and 2 firsts to get Justin Herbert, I would do it here. You're monopolizing. You're the worst case scenario. You're sitting there on a healthy day and you're going, I have to pick between, I have a team that has Kyler, Mahomes, and Herbert. Guess what? I've had some matchups this year where I'm like, shit, which one do I bench? You know what I mean? But like, that's better than I look at some of the teams and it's like, they're starting Jacoby Brissett. So yeah, shallower leagues, I'd prioritize the QB3, but I'd also be like Shane. If I found myself luckily having 3 good QB3s, how can I go to another team and pivot down from Justin Fields to Kirk Cousins and get me an extra first or 2? Can I do that? You're always trying to get to the lowest common denominator of a very productive QB3.
Yep. Yep. I like it. Makes sense. Okay. So let's go to we've got a couple super chats in here. We appreciate that. First though, we've got our boy here saying this is the best Dynasty channel on YouTube. We appreciate it. We appreciate that. And Lemon says, good evening from UK. Love the content you guys are producing. Stay
Oh,
up late most nights chilling. So the best Dynasty channel on YouTube.
here,
Damn.
hold on. I'm going to speak British to him because I speak British.
Go
Top
for
of
it.
the morning to you.
Nailed it. Okay. All right. We apologize. This is Shane, by the way. Polly Tails, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. 10 team super flex, start 11. Gave the 23-102 for Fields straight up.
Yeah, I can't be mad at this. This is what we've just talked about, how much we like Fields, right? And we're willing to give up a couple firsts for him if we have to. Just giving up a singular first, it's not the 101 either, so it makes me feel a lot better. I'm fine with this because I'd much rather be using this for Fields than on, say, Bryce Young, who is 5'8" and 113 pounds, if given the choice.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it can't slide into the 101, like 20% chance that it's a 101, I'm okay with it. Because, yeah, I mean, if you have to figure out who's the 102 next year, really we're hoping the 102 just holds value because there is a player that gets close to Bijan tier that people want. But right now, man, like you look at the 102 and you're going, I'm not sure it's any different than the 104, 105. So I like dumping this pick while it's still the quote unquote 102. Good deal.
So you're not giving the 101 for Justin Fields right now.
No, I think the 101 is one of those picks where, like, push comes to shove, the laundry list of players you would send the 101 for is not that vast. Maybe 6 to 8 players. Fields probably isn't on that list yet. And that's just simply because what else can I do with that 101? Maybe I can't trade it for Justin Herbert, but can I trade it plus another player for Justin Herbert? Once it's the 101 clearly, like that's the kind of deal you're missing out on if you ship it right now for just Justin Fields. But you could get burned by that too. I mean, God forbid Bijan gets hurt. Then what? Then you're sitting with the 101 and it's like, yeah, no one really wants it right now.
Let's say it's the guaranteed 101. Are you giving away the 101 for Joe Burrow right now?
I would.
Yep.
Look, if you're giving the 101 for Joe Burrow, then give it up for Justin Fields because his ceiling's much higher. Okay, much higher is a strong word. It's higher, I should say. I don't know, man. That 101, yeah, when you just say 101, right? You don't attach a name to it and you just think about all the things you could do with that 101. You're like, I don't want to give that up. But the smart move actually is just to go get the quarterback. Now, should it be Justin Fields? I like him. But yeah, it's still a little risky. At least Joe Burrow, like his floor might be or ceiling might be lower, but he feels safer because we've seen it from him for 2.5 years or whatever.
So Jason Black has a question. Excuse me. It's an inbox trade. This is start 9, 16 team PPR Superflex, best ball scoring, giving Jamar Chase and a 23 4th, getting CeeDee Lamb, Deontay Johnson, James Robinson, and a 23 3rd.
Done.
Yeah, it's best ball.
Picks are irrelevant. Give me the 2 shots with Deontay and Lamb, and James Robinson is he's going to fill in randomly at running back. So that, I think in a lineup league, Shane, we don't take this deal, right?
No.
But in a best ball league, like getting the Deontay plus Lamb, most likely throughout the season, they're going to give you as many or more spike weeks than Chase is. So I'm good doing it in best ball. It's actually 16. And if you've been in a 16 team league, if you can get 2 core starters for 1, that's a pretty good deal. So I like it.
Yep. All right. Hit accept, Jason.
Do it.
All right. Thank you for that question. We've got got another super chat from David G. Thank you very much. Weird Dynasty with 0.1 per passing yard and 1 point per completion. All else is normal PPR. How to value QBs when Josh Allen is 30 points per game over replacement?
How we value them, except for like double that. No, literally, like you never want. I assume it is super flex is the way I would assume. If it's super flex, you literally never want to be starting a quarterback that is below the median. Like a starter like Davis Mills almost has no value because he's just getting smoked by. I mean, go look at like how the quarterbacks in the top 8 or so are outperforming the rest of the field this year, and like double that. So like you can't pay enough to get 2 of the top 6, top 8 guys. Oh, he says it's 1 QB in the comments, so it's not as extreme, but at the same time, like the positional advantage, I'm guessing is if it's truly like 30 points per game above the median, which seems extreme, that's what 2 or 3 other starters,
Yeah. So basically, you have to clear out somebody's roster if they want Josh Allen. You're going to require their entire roster. They're going to gut their team if they want them. Yeah. No, that is tough scoring there, man. Josh Allen must be a freaking monster there. David, thank you very much for the super chat. Appreciate it, man. I always love reading comments where the first question is weird. Or the first word, rather, is weird. It's like, yep, I'm good with this. Let's do it. Let's go to another one I had in the hopper here. Wanted to hear about Debo and Pittman. What are we doing with them from the perspective of contending and rebuilding rosters, as well as what his value would be if you're looking to buy? So let's start with Debo. If you're contending or rebuilding, just tell me about Debo. What do you think about him these days? I couldn't think of a good way to frame it up.
I mean, he's not Debo from last year, right? But what was good about that is you still could have gotten him at a relatively cheaper price because no one ever believed that he was going to be that Debo again. I think he's going to be fine with Christian McCaffrey. I don't know though. It's a lot of it's a lot of competition between McCaffrey and Kittle now and specifically McCaffrey is going to take a lot of the rushing work that Debo would have seen and a lot of the types of passes that Debo would have seen. So I think Debo's closer to, I guess, what he is now, like a 14-point player a game, wide receiver. So he's a wide receiver 2. If you can get him for a wide receiver 2 price, great. If someone still has visions of him being a wide receiver 1, well, then they can keep him. I don't want him because he's not worth that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're probably, if you listen to my last Destination Dynasty show talking about the wide receiver threshold, I think these guys both clearly fit in there historically. They're in that range of, they're not quite up in that tier that we consider kind of like the second tier. You have like AJ Brown and Waddle, and you could probably throw Higgins and Amon-Ra St. Brown in there. Like they're probably not up in that range. They've had stretches where they're close to that, but I think you've kind of seen, especially Michael Pittman, he's at, he's less than 23% target share this year. He's just not that good. He's good, but he's not great. And I think a lot of the argument that rose his dynasty value up was there's going to be nobody else. And we've seen it time and time again. If your first argument for somebody coming into the year is there's no target competition, you better be a very good player to take advantage of that. Because just because you get 23% of the targets, if they're bad targets, and here's the other thing, if there is nobody else, what does that usually mean for the offense? It's probably not going to be a good offense, right? So you kind of look at these guys and you say their range of outcomes, or could both of these guys have wide receiver 1 seasons in the future? Yes. Could they also be wide receiver 35? Yes. So you just value them in that range. You have to have enough of them for your format, depending on your number of receivers and your flexes. But I don't necessarily look at them as like they're contending or rebuilding pieces. I'm actually fine having either one on a rebuild. Would I prefer to have Garrett Wilson and Drake London? Yeah. But I think they're basically in the same big tier. It's just a matter of like, what can you get for them? And they're probably not the players you want to sell right now. Debo's never been a guy you can sell.
Nope.
So he's better off just saying, hey, he's one of my stable players. If I can pivot down or pivot out, then fine. But we know what they are. They're good core receivers to have, but they're probably never going any higher than that.
Yeah, and I'm actually buying Pittman if I can in leagues. I talked about that in the article I wrote for Fantasy Data this week because I love the target share. Like the target share has been elite. Like Scott said, the quarterback plays have been not good. I'd say not good is a good word for it, right? Matt Ryan and Sam Ellinger and Carson Wentz before that. So not particularly good. You hope it gets better, right? It could turn into Marcus Mariota next year, like legitimately, actually him. Hopefully not. God, I hope he's done with football after this year. But it could turn into the same type of situation. So That's why I'm not going to go crazy and be like, oh, here's a 23, 106 for Michael Pittman, because I think if he just gets a good quarterback, things will get much better for him. Because, that's the same thing that I dreamt on DJ Moore for. And I'm still 7 years into his career waiting for a quarterback, or however many years.
Yep. So just real quick answers here. You're contending. Are you giving a projected mid 23 first for Deebo Samuel?
No.
No.
Are you giving a projected late first for Michael Pittman?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. I actually just looked it up. They're both adjusted for the time they've been on the field. They're both just under 25% target share, which puts them right in that like range that I was talking about. So I'm okay paying a late first, especially if you're looking at a class where you may end up just trying to get a receiver with that first. Pittman may be the best one you can get. So especially if you play a kind of portfolio, you don't have a lot of Pittman because his price was too high. Go for it.
So if you're rebuilding, are you selling them for any 23 first?
Yes.
Most likely.
Well,
Yeah.
you're saying, I think Shane just nailed it. He'll buy on a contender, sell on a rebuilder for the exact same price. And it's because he probably says I'd rather have the first going into the offseason when I'm rebuilding, because maybe I need to fix my quarterback room, right? If I need to do that, I'd much rather have a first than a random Michael Pittman who's 25 years old. So yeah, that's a great example.
Thank you for the super chat, DM Synergy. 10-team Superflex start 9, currently 2-7 in 9th place. 2 inbox offers. One is My Monty, Mike Evans, and Foreman for Brees Hall. So let's start with that.
Yes.
So Montgomery, Evans, and Foreman for Brees. I heard Shane say yes. I think Shane's doing it. Scott?
I mean, it's a 10-team start 9, man. You're getting the best player in a deal where you're giving up 3 non-players that are worth first. So yeah, that first one's a hammer.
I mean, and the first thing is like, look, it does feel like you're giving up a lot because you're giving up, well, obviously 3 players. 3 is more than 1. I'm good with that math. But just cumulatively, there's no way you'd get something that's worth more than Brees Hall, even if you were to trade these off individually.
Yeah, and even if you end up wanting to trade Brees, like the value is there, like to smash that one. Okay, so the second one is give Jimmy G and Amari Cooper, get Javonte Williams. So we're collecting ACLs here.
I'm doing it, and then I'm going to the team that for some reason bought 3 pieces from me in a 10-team start 9, and I'm going to sell him Javonte Williams for his first, because he's probably trying to contend, but he's also thinking he needs to put Deontay Foreman and David Montgomery in his lineup. So go get his first for Javonte.
I don't want to be the all injured team, because that really leaves you in a rough spot next year. But the value on it, again, Javonte Williams was a top 5 dynasty running back coming into the season. Yes, he didn't actually deserve it, and then he got injured severely. But it's worth the risk. I mean, the risk is Jimmy G and Amari Cooper. Like, is your team's going to function without those guys? It's not like the difference between you and a championship is ever going to be Jimmy G and Amari Cooper, I don't think.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for that super chat. Steve's got a question. Can I get a 24 first for Tim Patrick, Dortch, Sermon, and my 24 third?
I mean,
he's trolling the person that made the last quote, that put in the last question.
Yes.
You could definitely make that trade in kindergarten leagues, I think.
Yeah.
Played on fan tracks.
That's great. Okay. All right. Let's go here. Here's a question. This was the top star here. Garrett Bambro got the top star. If you can only trade for a top QB outside of the typical studs in a 1 QB league, who are you targeting for your championship run? Top studs aren't on the block.
Then I'm not really making, if I can't get the top studs, why am I making the move? Like so let me rephrase that. So are you moving from, I don't know, give me someone that's Derek Carr, Jesus Christ, Derek Carr to Joe Burrow? Okay, then you know what, I'll do it first. But are you moving from Dak Prescott to, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, unless I can actually get the elite guys, I don't want to pay up. And this is one of the things we talk in the roster reviews, right? Like there's a big difference between paying up for Jalen Hurts and paying up for Dak Prescott. I like Dak Prescott. I think he's a very good quarterback, low end. It's just that he's not going to generally give you a week where Jalen Hurts does, where he could put up 5 touchdowns.
Is this a Justin Fields? Is this a Deshaun Watson where you overpay, but you're speculating that they end up either Fields continues or, I mean, I hear it daily because I listen to so many podcasts and so much content, like 30 hours a day of content. And for some reason, there's this narrative that Deshaun Watson's going to come back this year and he's going to be rusty.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, he might come back and be rusty, but compare him to the rest of the quarterbacks in the league. Like, how rusty is he going to be to not be in the top 15 or better right away? You know, like, is he going to be QB2? Maybe not, but you got people out there that are still rolling out Russell Wilson every week. And it's like, you don't think Deshaun Watson's going to be better than that? So I think he's a good bet. Him and Fields are good bets that you can maybe buy a little bit cheaper, but easily could give you top 5 numbers.
Yeah.
That's a good answer because they can at least be difference making still in a 1 QB and might not fit this this top stud on the block criteria that we were given here. Okay, hopefully that helped you out there, Garrett. Let's move that one. We'll go over to Alec. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. It's a 12-team Superflex start 9. Traded Geno and Brian Robinson for a mid-24 first and Sky Moore. So traded Geno and Brian Robinson for a mid-24 first and Sky Moore. The 24 first guy is 7-3 now, but that pick likely early. Smash?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Goddamn freaking explicitive smash. This dude's trading for Geno Smith and Brian Robinson to put in his starting lineup. Or maybe Brian Robinson's just depth, whatever it is. The fact that he's giving you a 24 first, like you don't even need him to be bad this year. You need him to be bad next year. And if he's making moves like trading first for Geno and Brian Robinson, there's a good chance that he might be bad next year because he does not, or she doesn't. Excuse me, I don't want to be sexist. This definitely feels like a dude move, though. Geno should be a little brighter than this, but he's probably going to be bad next year because he'll continue to make moves like this, or she will.
Yeah, and I mean he says that right there. Like the guy's 7-3 now, but that pick is likely early.
Yeah, you get that. You get that.
Yeah. You can see it. You can see that. Those are the first that you want.
Dynasty assumptions. He traded you his 24 first because he already traded his 23. He's trading for Geno Smith for a pick that's 2 years out. I actually think Geno Smith is somebody that can help his 23 pick not suck. But he's basically betting on Geno Smith for another year, you know, and then you're like, okay, now we're getting, you know, once upon a time, like Teddy Bridgewater had a decent year and got another big contract, you know? So like, this is the perfect correlation trade of like, all right, I'm going to bet against just a manager that's probably not that smart, but I'm going to get his pick 2 years out. That gives him a lot of time to screw it up. And he's going to run into a point if he keeps making bad trades where it's like he can't get out of it. And his 24 pick is the 102. That's what he's basically saying. It's going to be early.
Okay, let's move on here. We have so we got to thank Shane, I guess, partly for this one, but thank you, Davis, for a very generous super chat here. 1 of 2. Shane, just while I start reading this, you got the second one too, the second part of this question. It looks like this is part 1 of 2.
Oh no, yeah, I definitely do.
Yeah, no, I'll let you find it. That's why I said that. Okay, so this is
I found it.
Okay, good stuff. So this is tanking but not tanking here from the roster reviews, always bothering Shane with questions. Thanks for always answering me on Twitter and helping me out. Yeah, Shane is awesome at that. 12-team Superflex start 10. ...
Show. I found it.
Have Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, George Pickens, Treylon Burks, Amon-Ra St. Brown, T. Higgins, London, and Hollywood. Do I hold all of these wide receivers and enjoy depth, or go get a couple superstars? So if we, what was the format again? If I go back to, what was the start? How many?
Start 10.
Start 10.
Yeah. So right off the bat, I'm already looking at like, okay, Burks, Hollywood, and London. You guys are great, but I'm going to get and move you guys for a stud wide receiver 1 that I know is a can't miss and has already done it. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, you might be in that bucket too, my friend. I'll hold on to Wilson and Olave. Pickens is another guy I think I want to hold on to. Just I love that upside. But the other four guys, excluding T. Higgins, they're all in the boat of, yeah, you can get 2-for-1s for these guys the other way. Like, I'll give you two of these guys. You give me AJ Brown. Here's Hollywood and Burks. Give me AJ Brown. Something like that. Here's ARSB and Hollywood. Give me Waddle. Something like that. I'm fine with doing.
Yeah. Right now, he's holding 5 of the top 25 target share players in the league. And one of those is not T. Higgins. So, like, I don't, and every single one of these guys is 24 or under.
Mm-hmm.
So I am being very specific when I'm trading them. Meaning, like, I almost want to pick whatever one you want to pick. And I think you can probably take Burks and take him aside, because I think he'd be the one that people would say, A, they're not going to pay as much for, but B, he's shown nothing. His value isn't where the others are. So if you said, I want to just kind of wait for Burks and see what it looks like over the next couple weeks, fine. But I would almost say any of the others, pick one. Literally pick whatever one you want of the other ones. And we obviously know which. Okay, whatever one you want outside of Treylon Burks, I'm shopping. I've seen people do this in leagues where it's like I have 4 players in the same tier. All of them are on the block, but I'm probably taking the best deal I can get for any of them that I get an offer for. I'm not just putting one on the block. I'm just saying, hey, they're all on the block. I have some receiver depth. I'm trading one. Bidding war. And go from there. Because, I mean, honestly, I can't even pick. Like, you tell me you really want me to pick between Pickens and Garrett Wilson or T. Higgins and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, like, I'm okay with just letting the market determine that.
Exactly. Let the market tell you.
Yeah, but I'm telling you right now, Garrett Wilson, Olave, Pickens, really hard to move off those 3, especially Olave and Garrett Wilson, what they've done in their rookie years. And this isn't just like a small, like, we fell in love with Elijah Moore over a 5-game sample. Or Kadarius Toney over a 1.5 game sample. Like, Olave and Garrett Wilson, for the most part, it's been an entire half the season. Like, if they were to blow a tire tomorrow, knock on wood, they still would have smashed rookie seasons.
So that's like a larger question too that I have, and it still kind of ties into this, is like, in a start 10, how much depth do you want to have? You know, we always say in start 8, start 9, you want to consolidate the depth, get hammers, but how many of those guys do you want to have that we saw on the previous screen? Like, is there a certain number, Scott? I mean, I know you always dive into the how many threshold receivers you want and all. Is there a clean number, or?
I mean, go back to listen to the show I just did this last Sunday on DD, and I talked to this exact format: 12 teams, start 10, PPR, 3 receivers, 2 flexes. I want a core 8 receivers, and I want him to be within like that top 40-ish or better. He's already got 6 of them, and he's got Burks, so he's well on his way. And that's just what he's showing on the screen. He may have a couple others that you would put in that group that you would say they don't really have like top 40 or top 50 dynasty value, but like Jacoby Myers, Tyler Boyd, those guys fit in that group if you have them on your team. They're just not in the same mix in terms of dynasty value. So give me 7 or 8 of those guys. And that's why I'm not in a rush to move. I'm not in a rush to go, let me add a first to Drake London to go get Jalen Waddle. That's not a move I would make. Shane might make that move.
No, well, not with this roster, not with these. I'm using other wide receivers. Look, I've got enough wide receivers where you're taking these 2 wide receivers. I'm giving you no picks, or I'll just hold on to them. It's fine.
Well, and that's the thing. When you get enough of them, then you liquidate, and you liquidate not for upgrades. You liquidate for what is the easiest way for me to get, what's the word, a hammer or sledgehammer at another position. And a lot of times you have to go from receiver to draft pick, which is why I would shop any of the 6 and say, who's dumb enough in my league to give me 2 firsts for one of those guys? Cool. You won't give me 2 firsts for Drake London or 2 firsts for George Pickens or 2 firsts for T. Higgins, but boom, you find somebody to give you 2 firsts for Chris Olave. If I have an excess here, I'll take the 2 firsts for Olave, because the way we play, we don't look at Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson and go, I am arrogant enough to tell you which one's better. I just know they're both damn good, and I know they're both in the same range. But if someone's giving me 2 firsts for one of them, I'll just sell that guy, keep my core together, and I'm using those 2 firsts to do what? Go get a hammer quarterback, right? Or if I need a running back during the season, like I'll go buy Austin Eckler or Derrick Henry or someone like that to try to win. But that's how I'm playing it.
Yep. Rob D says Scott just did an awesome pod on thresholds. definitely valuable stuff to know. Okay, thank you very much again for that generous super chat. We appreciate that. We
Good
appreciate
question.
everybody, but that was extremely generous. Joe, let's do a non-super chat here, and then we've got some more supers in the hopper that we'll go through. 10-man superflex PPR start 8. Get ETN, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and either Godwin or Sutton. Give DeAndre Swift, CD Lamb, Pickens, and a 23 first. Thoughts? I'd prefer Godwin in the deal and not including the first. So he's saying he would prefer to get ETN, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Godwin, and give Swift, Lamb, and Pickens. What do you think about where this is?
Well, I know Shane's going to say ETN over Swift, and I think the market and I agree with that. But then you're starting to get into the better value without looking at the 10-team start 8 is the bottom side, but then it's a start 8. So do you want to go with the value, or do you want to go with the 3? Maybe 2 of the 3 players on the top might be 2 of the top 4 valued players in the whole trade. So I think I'd lean the bottom, and then I'd try to get off Swift.
This is one of those where I'd pull you to the side and be like, what is your goal here? Where
are
you
trying
to improve?
Where did this start? Yeah.
Because this feels like one of those deals, and it might not be, but it feels like one of those deals where it's just like, let's make a big trade. Let's just keep adding stuff to it. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, wait, where did I actually upgrade? I upgraded at running back, definitely, without a doubt. And then what? Like, I'm kind of lateral at wide receiver, and I'm giving up a pick. And obviously, if you can make it without giving up the pick, it's much better. But I think I'd hold. In a start 8, I want to be a little more strategical. I don't know if that's a word, but I'm going to use it.
It is tonight.
I'll bet what's driving the value of this trade is he wants to get off Swift and get ETN. And that's in a start 8, that is probably what the other manager is sitting here going like, I'm not taking on, because a lot of people probably view Swift as a running back they can't even start. You know what I mean? So I bet you what's driving this deal is I want to get off Swift. I need a running back because it's a start 8. I'm guessing the team that's giving the 4 has a team that's good enough to absorb the loss of Pickens and the first, but is probably starting shit at running back and is like, I need to upgrade at running back. And the guy that's getting the package is probably like, you're going to pay a premium. If you want Swift to ETN, you're throwing me in at least. I mean, honestly, you could argue that Lamb's more valuable than Amon-Ra. Pickens is more valuable than Godwin or close to it. And then he's throwing in a first. Like, this is a big cost to go from Swift to ETN. It's at least a 23 first. I think we would sell ETN for Swift and a 23 first plus. So it's really the start 8, but I'm guessing that's what's driving it is the running back.
Yeah, and if you want to move up to ETN, then just add another pice to Swift, but not a first.
Would you do Swift and a first for ETN in a start 8, Shane?
No, and I look, I love ETN. I liked him before he blew out his Liz Frank or however you injure that thing. I loved him coming out of college.
Blew a Liz Frank.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
He ruptured that bone.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's a real body part, to be quite frank. Liz Frank. But no, I'm not paying that. I'm not.
Yep.
I'll give up like 4 seconds though. Like I'll give you 2:23 seconds and 4:24 seconds, and I'll even dip into my 25 stash if I have to.
How generous. Shane is the generous, not Shane is the worst. Okay. All right. We've got a bunch of the super chats to roll through here. Let's start with Carson Willis was at the top here. Thank you, Carson. 10-team PPR Superflex start 8. Team A, Cooper Kupp, Jonathan Taylor, James Robinson, Jacoby Myers, Stafford, 24 first, 24 second, 25 second. Okay. Team B, T-Law, Ridley, Dubs, Alec Pierce, and 2 early 23 firsts. Okay, so start 8, we can get rid of a lot of these names, right? Just get them out of the trade. Like in terms of that
being, I don't care about Alec Pierce
and Jacoby.
Yeah, well, I like Jacoby, but yeah, I don't think he matters.
You can cancel out like Jacoby and Calvin Ridley, but yeah, I mean, literally, it's like Kupp and Taylor for the
Kupp and Taylor for T-Law
and the 2 firsts, yeah,
and 2 firsts.
Well, and Stafford on the other side, and there's 24 first on the other side. There's a lot going on here. Okay, so Carson, not to be again a cop out. What the hell is the purpose of this? Not, and I don't mean that in a mean way. I know that sounds mean.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No,
I mean
no.
it's more in like what are you trying to do here? Here's some more context. I'm gonna just add this to it real quick.
Yeah.
Both teams are 3-6, but Team A is going into a rebuild. Team B is coming out of a rebuild and trying to compete this year. All right, put that other one back up.
So Team A is scared to death of having probably no draft capital and is trying to get out of Jonathan Taylor and Cooper Kupp.
Yep.
Yeah, so no, I don't want to do that. I'm not giving up 2 firsts and T-Law and Alec Pierce for look, I mean, Kupp and Taylor. Kupp really helps your team this year. Taylor doesn't. I mean, he just
and Stafford doesn't.
And Stafford doesn't help you
Yeah.
at all. And I'm not even sure if he's playing tomorrow because someone just offered me John Walford in the league 3 minutes ago.
I know that rings the alarms.
I got to pass on this. If I'm Team B, I got to pass on this.
Yeah, how do I just get Kupp?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would pay Calvin Ridley and Alec Pierce and a first or something to get Kupp. You know, but I have no interest in moving all of my draft capital and Trevor Lawrence for basically what amounts to Cooper Kupp. And I mean, yeah, Jonathan Taylor could be good next year, but I don't necessarily need to. I have 2 early firsts. Why am I trading for Jonathan Taylor? You know?
Yep. Yep.
I'm draft a better running back than him next year.
Yep. Thank you very much for that super chat. We've got another one. Thank you as well, Tony. 2:23 seconds and Danny Dimes for Fields and a 1 QB FFPC, but he also has Lance on IR. What do you think? 2:23 seconds and Danny Dimes for Fields.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm surprised Dimes is even rostered in the FFPC. FFPC leagues are very shallow for anyone that doesn't know. And then the seconds, there's not even a guarantee you'd be able to roster them. Because there's been times that after the rookie draft and I got to make my cut downs, I'm like, damn it. What? Oh. Yeah, give me Fields here. Even with Lance on the IR, if Lance comes back next year and he's smashing, you can worry about trading him at that point.
Yeah, I see people do these deals in FFPC, and I just don't understand what the person getting the 2 seconds and Danny Dimes is. The only context is they probably have like another elite quarterback. Like they probably have like Jalen Hurts, and it's like they're trying to trade Justin Fields, and everyone's just going like, nah. You're not starting him, so nobody's really going to pay you the price because you know it's not really hurting you much. But yeah, Fields all day. Come on,
Fields all day. Okay, what if this isn't a done deal? Just real quick, what else would you add for Fields? It's 2:23 seconds right now, and Danny Dimes. Would you give another second, or would you give a 23 second, a 24 first, and Danny Dimes? Like, you've got some flexibility apparently, right?
Yeah, the second almost doesn't even matter. Danny Dimes almost doesn't matter to me, so I'd still be fine with that. I'd prefer not to, but obviously, and it doesn't look like he has to. But if I had to, I would do that. Nope.
Yeah.
Shane.
Hello. I like being over there. Shane doing Shane things.
Shane's getting a little manic and he's just clicking. He's going, oops, I switched Clay.
Yeah. He's got the loud mouse tonight too. Okay, let's see. Let's go to a non-super chat real quick here. Tyler 106, 107, 25 first, and Chase Claypool for Jamar Chase. All right. So would you do the 106, the 107, a 2025 first, and Chase Claypool for Jamar Chase?
Yeah, I would do that just for Chase, and then you get a free Claypool to play with. Definitely.
No, giving Claypool. You're giving Claypool.
Oh, yeah, no, I still don't care. Yeah, I'm still doing that.
Yeah.
I'm still getting Chase.
Yeah.
I liked it better when I thought I was getting Claypool thrown in, but no, I'll still do this.
Yeah, agree. I mean, it's close to 3 firsts, but 25 first and Claypool. Yeah, do it.
Yep. Mr. Wonderful, thank you very much for your super chat. He's saying just showing his support. $6.66 for Shane's iced coffee. $6.66 for Clay's wife's iced coffee. $6.66 for Scott's Four Locos.
Probably.
Not sure what you're drinking. Just wanted to say thank you for your recent roster review. Great job, guys. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
I'll definitely screenshot this too. That's a hilarious note that came with it. So thank you very much, man. Appreciate that. Okay, so we'll put that one, and then Timo had one here as well. Thank you as well, sir. 10-team half PPR, super flex, not a tight end premium, start 9. Wide receivers are CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins, J-Mo, Pickens, Burks, Elijah Moore, Christian Watson, Dotson. Okay, tight end, Pitts, Freiermuth, and Likely. QBs, Herbert, Lamar, Lance. And then RBY's got A.J. Dillon in the 101 and the 102. He needs to consolidate. Okay. So it's a start 9, 10-team superflex, half PPR. How would you consolidate this?
Well, I mean, obviously, I want to get rid of Elijah Moore, Christian Watson, Jahan Dotson, Jameson. No one wants A.J. Dillon, but all the guys I want to get rid of, no one wants right now. So we might have to wait for a little bit to move a couple of these guys. Although I think Jahan Dotson, is he playing this week? I think he's finally healthy after I questioned his existence.
He's good at QB. I mean, good Lord, don't touch that, right?
No. There's absolutely nothing to do there. I mean, Herbert, Lamar, Lance, you have no reason to trade any of those guys unless someone wants to trade, like, I don't know, they want to take A.J. Dillon and Lance and give you Justin Jefferson. You give them Jameson, Lance, A.J. Dillon, and Burks. And they're like, here's Justin Jefferson, because apparently they've never drafted and they have no players on their roster. I don't know. It's kind of like Scott was saying earlier, right? Like the wide receivers that you have are so good. So I guess I'm looking at the ones that I want to trade Jameson. I want to trade Burks because I want to combine them into one player anyway. So they kind of just lend themselves to being consolidated.
I mean, it's half PPR and it's not tight end premium. So can I add Pat Freiermuth to Treylon Burks and get and this is where you want to be. We say this a lot on the roster reviews. If you want to get these deals, you need to shop around and look for the teams to propose them to. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times what I'm starting to see is that there can be value deals that are to be had. A lot of times, though, you get offers. We get a lot of trades on this channel, and you get offers and you go, the value's there, but the form of the deal isn't really what my mind would be looking for, right? Like, this guy has enough depth. And he could say, hey, Jameson Williams on the block. Someone may offer you a 25 first and a 24 second. I'm like, that makes sense from a liquidation standpoint because I don't need Jameson Williams. It doesn't make sense from I'm now spreading assets even thinner than I was before. Now I have a bunch more assets to work with, but eventually I'm going to have to consolidate myself, right? So the picks make it easier to consolidate, but you still have the problem to consolidate. So I would be going with Jameson and Pat Freiermuth, for instance. I'm going to the team where I look at him and I go, man, this guy's not a very smart manager. I'm going to bet against his 24 first. If that's the 104, 103, 102, who cares about Jameson Williams and Pat Freiermuth in a 10-team start 9 half PPR league?
Yep.
I'm looking for the hammer running back in one of those picks in 2 years. But then, like, you have to send that out to the right team. But if you do 2 of those deals, maybe you send, I don't know, Jahan Dotson and A.J. Dillon, and you get a random 24 first done. Jameson Williams or Treylon Burks plus Pat Freiermuth, you get a 24 first that you think could be really good. Boom, done. Problem solved. Going into next year, you can still contend, but you have the 101, the 102. That gives you flexibility next year to move around. And you have those 3 extra firsts in 24. You're literally always a constant train of just rolling downhill.
Yeah, so this is definitely a good, and thank you very much for that super chat. This is definitely a good segue into our roster reviews, because you got a little bit of a taste there from Shane and Scott as to what you get on them. I'll leave this at the bottom, and then I'll throw up an overlay here. Now, know that we are very busy with roster reviews right now, so we're actually on like a little bit of a pause so we can get caught up on the ones that we have. With that being said, here's what it ends up looking like. I disappear, which is probably the right thing to do. Your roster goes up in between Shane and Scott, and they do what they just did for Timo right there, breaking down, consolidating his roster, just giving tips based on his particular format. So if you want to holler at us about one of those, feel free to do so. Interested, you email dynastytradesand5@gmail.com or DM us on Twitter @tradesand5. they go to me, and if I'm a little bit late on my reply, my apologies. I get kind of hammered by them, and yeah, Mr. Wonderful gave me $6.66 for my wife's iced coffee. She'll need 10 if I were to go through all of them at once. So yeah, thank you very much. We'll tied that there, but yes, hit me up. I've got the timestamp on your message. Don't worry about that. Okay, back to our regular scheduled programming here. Okay, caught the latest DD episode, so Destination Dynasty. Good stuff, Scott. As of right now, top 2 stashes going into next year whose situation could drastically improve, worth a back end roster spot. Okay, and the 12-team Superflex, half PPR, limited 9 bench.
I'd
So
probably
top
need to know
2
how many roster spots too. But so, not to plug DD again, but we did just drop another show on America's Game, Eric and I, and we talked about kind of some strategy heading towards the last month or so of your season about how to look at your roster construction, especially in a shallower league like this. Half PPR, 9 starters. He says limited bench, right? So that's going to maybe change my answer a little bit because obviously the players are going to be higher caliber. But in a league like this, especially start 9, start 10, usually we use start 10 as the default, right? What is most likely for you to find at the end of a waiver wire in week 16, 17, whatever of your season, where a lot of leagues, the waiver wire closes then and it doesn't open back up until like the spring or the rookie draft? What is most likely for you to find a player that's out there now that goes to potential startability sometime in 2023?
Right.
Very rarely is that going to be the wide receiver 5 on a team that goes from there to, oh my gosh, he's a wide receiver 3 or better next year. Same with quarterbacks. You kind of know who the starting quarterbacks are going to be. So I think you're looking at, if it's a heavy tight end premium, you're looking at tight ends. Otherwise, you're looking at running backs. You're looking at running backs that have got on the field a little bit, but that's it. But they've shown enough. Hey, a guy like Mike Boone, for instance, if he's out there, I'd rather roster him over Laviska Shenault, for instance, in a start 9. The odds that Shenault is ever in my lineup is so low, he's almost not worth a roster spot. But the Mike Boone type, you might say, oh, well, he's back up. He's on injured reserve. Someone cuts him. There's a chance he's back in the path of, hey, he could get touches next year. And I'm going to know when to play him if it ever happens. So that's how you have to think about this. You got to think of the receivers and the backup quarterbacks. Like the odds they get there is extremely low. That's how I'd answer it. I don't have any specific players. Sorry.
Yeah, I always try to, exactly, hoard those running backs, look and see contract situations, who might be on the move, things like that, being strategic with it like that. And I totally agree. A wide receiver 5 on a team, like that's not who you want to waste a roster spot on. It's always running backs, and like if a decent tight end is going to be moving somewhere. Okay, let's put this one up here. This one's funny. Colin, thank you for the super chat. How much would it cost to get Shane and Chill in a chat to share quick thoughts on trades year round? Thank you for the roster review, guys. Yeah, we'll have to come up with something for sure. Whether it's a Patreon or this or that. Look, can't wait to see Shane's eyes on that. He's like, really? We're gonna get even busier with this? This was supposed to be a 5-minute trade show. What the hell?
If Twitter dies, you never know. We may have to.
Yeah, Twitter dies. We'll have to. But just real quick, I did create a Mastodon account today.
Oh yeah, did you?
Yeah, there's not a lot of fantasy football content on there. So if you're on Mastodon, look me up. I'm Shane Said at Shane SAYD because I misspelled. I meant to add an S. I added a D. Hit save, and I can't change it. So I'm Shane Said.
just make a new one. You're gonna need like a new email address to have as the. Hit us up. We'll figure something out. I don't know.
Hit me up on Mastodon.
Yeah, hit Shane up on Mastodon when you eventually find him from the misspelling issues. Okay, let's go to another one here. Inbox trade from A-Town. Thank you very much. Garrett Wilson for London. Wanted to hear y'all's thoughts on Wilson versus London. Thanks, guys. Best Dynasty show around. Appreciate that. All right, who are you taking? Garrett Wilson, Drake London right now.
So I don't want to say that Garrett Wilson was my wide receiver 1 of this class, right? I don't want to say that just because it was true.
But he was.
But he was. And after Drake London went to Atlanta, I was like, no, this is great, right? So I don't know that I want to be that flip-floppy. I guess Garrett Wilson, but understand that London's target share has been special. And if he had a quarterback that was not an absolute garbage pail, he would be putting up really, really great numbers. So which player can I get anything added to? Because I'm not making this deal straight up either side, because I'll feel like I made a mistake either way I go.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. Garrett Wilson's target share thus far this year, 23.1. Drake London's 27.7. Garrett Wilson's yards per route run this year, he's at 26.2, or at 1 point. Oh, this is bad podcasting. 1.95. Drake London, 2.10. Targets per outrun, Drake London blows Garrett Wilson away. Team air yard share, Drake London blows Garrett Wilson away. I would still take Drake London. Every metric says he's better, except for just the volume or the counting stats. But if you're trying to measure quality and you're giving me a reset on the year and you're letting me go to next year before I have to really care about what they're doing on the fantasy side, Drake London's better. He's just better. All his numbers are better. So, when Lamar Jackson's Drake London's quarterback next year, all in. Get as many Drake London shares as you can. So give me Drake London if I had to pick, but I threw my hands up. Listen, this is like a bet that's 52 to 48% odds. Like, flip a coin. If you have both, be happy you have them instead of Sky Moore or, someone else you could have drafted.
I don't think anyone was drafted Sky Moore instead of Garrett Wilson.
But you could have moved up 2 or 3 slots. A lot of people were like, I don't care about who I take in this tier. Let me trade back. So
bye, Shane. See you later, Shane.
He's messing around with the buttons and leaves.
Yeah, he is messing around and leaves. All right, let me give you one here, Scott. So, okay, we've still got a bunch in here. Let's go. Sonaldo 14, 10-team Superflex, start 11. Give Watson. Scott's keeping him out. Give Watson the 23-101. Get Josh Allen and a late 23 second. Okay, so 10-team Superflex, start 11. Give Watson and the 101. Get Josh Allen and a late 23 second. What do you think?
No. Look, I'm going to keep saying this. Look, Watson hasn't played in 2 years now, right? But Deshaun's in the same tier as Josh Allen. Like, quite frankly, oh God, I can't stop saying quite frankly. Deshaun Watson is in the same tier as Josh Allen. The only difference is he's been off for the last 2 years for non-injury related reasons, and I'm getting a 101. That's way too much for me.
Yeah, I think it's not necessarily the I'd obviously want Allen over Watson as much as I like Watson, but man, it feels like this is not what you want to do if you have that 101. Can I get there any cheaper than that? So no, I'm keeping the 101 on Watson's side.
Yep. Okay, let's go to another one here from Thomas. Thank you very much. Tore it down for 24. When do you spend first?
When a deal presents itself based on what you need, right? I mean, there's no rush. The 24 firsts are still increasing in value, but I think there's a point you're starting to see it with 2023. How crazy was the 23 class a year ago at this point? It was like all you wanted was start collecting those picks. And now you're starting to put players and I think the 23 class is still going to be very good. I just don't think it's going to have the hammer ability or the hammer perception that everybody wanted. So, there's going to be opportunities for you to move those. So the way Dynasty moves so quickly week to week, I would just let it sit, let it sit for another year. Maybe if you want to buy a player or two during the rookie draft next year, I think you're going to see the 24 picks appreciate in value where you can maybe buy like a late first for a random 24 second or 24 first if you want a player.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, it's kind of always like the case, right? You want to pay for appreciating assets. If you're giving away a first in what should be a nice class, just make sure you're getting a asset that's not losing value, especially if you tore it down. Just go off of rebuilding principles, focus on QBs and wide receivers. Don't buy any running backs right now. Right. Anything else to add there, Shane?
No, you guys did it.
You're going to take off. Yeah, we done good. All right. You can go ahead and bounce out of here again. Thank you, Thomas. Appreciate that. We also, since it's we're 59 minutes in. Oh yeah, so a couple things on that. If you wouldn't mind taking a look down, making sure you hit that little like button, give us a little thumbs up, help out our channel here, and the sucker will spread more. We've got 252 people in here. This is very cool. Awesome having you guys every week, Monday or Tuesdays and Saturdays when we try to do it now.
Yeah.
So we're trying to keep on that schedule, man. It's a lot of fun hanging with you guys. Okay, so let's go to and my other thing was going to be, let's cut off the super chats, por favor. We appreciate the generosity and helps keep this little channel alive. But we do want to hit some non-super chats, and we'll be here all night if you keep throwing money at us. So we'll call an end to those.
That made us sound like sex workers.
Well,
there's
sorry
nothing
for
wrong with
exposing your other.
It's a career,
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
Clay, did you just out Shane's real career?
God
Yeah,
damn it.
I don't want you selling yourself on Craigslist again. Okay, so let's go to this one right here. It's David Ross, 16 team, non-tight end premium, 1 QB, start 9. Kyle Pitts or Dallas Goedert, and a mid to late 24 first.
Start 9, Kyle Pitts. I'm gonna hold on
tight end premium.
I'm still gonna hold on to Kyle Pitts here. Like, I still believe in Kyle Pitts. Now, if this was a early 23 first, you'd really be putting my balls to the fire, and I'd have to make a harder decision. But because it's a 24 first and it's mid to late, I can say no. I still believe in Kyle Pitts enough to say no. I'm going to pass on this.
I'm going to hedge both sides of this. I think if it's a league where it's very active and there's going to be somebody that pops up later that gives you that first, if you can turn that first and another piece into another locked in start 9 starter, I'm okay pivoting down here. But if you're just going to be stuck with that pick and you're going to go, okay, I'm going to make the 203 pick it's equivalent 203. So it's like the 115 or whatever it ends up being. If you're going to just be like, I have that pick and I'm going to have to hold on to it because everyone overvalues players and I'm just stuck with the pick, then give me Kyle Pitts. So I think you got to know your league, but there's some leagues like
kind of thing.
You guys are in some 16 teamers. People trade all the time. There's people going, I need picks. You know what I mean? I'll throw you 3 starters for a pick. So yeah.
Yep. Okay. Let's put this one up here. Thank you very much for the super chat. What is it? Stiglitz X.
Stiglitz X.
I like the capitalization going up and down there. It looks pretty cool.
It's Cam
Need an
Newton-esque.
avatar though. Need an avatar.
Cam Newton-esque.
Traded Drake London and Christian Kirk for DK and a 23 second. I've got Pitts and Ridley on the team already, so I felt like I needed to diversify. Okay, move.
Except for Ridley's on the Jaguars now, so that doesn't matter.
So I'm guessing he made that trade before the Ridley deal, but even still, I'm not a particular fan of this. I love DK, I really do. But if I could have added, like, if I could do Kirk and something else to get the DK, but I don't even think you shouldn't have even added the London to get DK in a second.
I do see where what he means is he traded away a Falcon and a Jaguar because he already has a Falcon and a Jaguar.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he did that. I was thinking all Falcons, but honestly, I'd take Drake London over DK Metcalf. And
would you? Yeah.
What did I talk about earlier? Like he just needs a quarterback, like can he get to DK Metcalf's production this year, like that he's with Geno Smith? Easily.
He just needs a quarterback as good as Geno Smith. What a world we live in.
I know.
And I think we would buy Christian Kirk for a 23 second. So I'm just taking, I think he gave up the 2 better players. So it's okay. I get it from like a liquidation standpoint. He has an extra second to play with, but yeah, I slightly prefer the London and Kirk side.
Yeah, and it definitely wasn't a roster altering move. It's not like you made a massive mistake. If it ended up being a mistake at all, we can always trade again in Dynasty, right?
Well, it was a mistake, but it's one that you can recover from. It's not like you got a tomato can back. You got DK and a second back, so it's basically DK for London and a second for Kirk, which is a little low on London, but yeah, you'll live, you'll survive.
Yep, you'll win on value on your next trade. Let's go to this one right here. Actually, I'm gonna find a question from the hopper. Let's get off the trades for just a second here.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go. Rebuilding question. At what point should a team in a complete rebuild use a late first round pick, not your own, to purchase an asset rather than making a pick? So you're rebuilding. When do you make the decision like, okay, should I buy a young wide receiver with this late first, or should I wait a little bit, maybe make the pick itself? What are your thoughts on that?
See, I don't have like set like markers in my mind, right? Like I look at the situation as they present themselves. All right, well, is there a late first that I can trade right now for Michael Pittman? Just for example, like we were talking about earlier, is this going to be a 111, 112? Do I think Michael Pittman's situation is going to improve? And if it improves, will he be worth more than whatever wide receiver or running back or whoever I pick at 111 in the draft would be? Or can I use this pick in conjunction with another pick and then go get a top 10 wide receiver? I don't know that I have a set guideline like that, other than, yeah, it's got to be a young wide receiver because, well, I'm rebuilding. So I don't want to go out and buy a Steph Diggs with the pick because it's like, yeah, my roster got better, but what the hell am I supposed to do with it?
Yeah, I think you have to, I said it on the last question, you have to know your league. You have to know the league compared to how do they value players versus picks. If I'm a complete rebuilder, there is no fear in going into an offseason where you're still rebuilding, where you just have picks. That's the first thing. Now, you might get unlucky and it ends up being a 2022 class where it's like I'm stuck with the picks, then I have to make them all, which can be a little depressing. But I also think that if you look at this and you say, all right, I know my league, I'm probably going to end up picking a receiver at that spot. If you can trade an early first or even just a random first for an insulated asset, I think that's the big thing. And I think we overthink how many assets are actually insulated. Just because a player is 25 doesn't mean he's insulated. So really you have to be smart about what you're buying. You know, like you may look at a player and go, oh, I'm buying, Christian Kirk or Jerry Jeudy or Juju Smith-Schuster. Like, yeah, those guys are young. They're all 25 and under. But are they really insulated from they're a half a season away of bad play to falling into a range of like nobody cares about him anymore? Yeah. So if that's the case, you'd much rather have a first. So you kind of got to look at what you're buying. I would rather buy, Shane says this all the time, I'd rather take that late first, maybe add a second to it and see if I can buy like Amon-Ra St. Brown or T. Higgins, because I know I'm getting something insulated there that's already produced at a pretty high level. So I think you have to look at the insulation factor when you're buying. Don't just buy to buy because you're scared of making the picks.
Exactly. If you can get an insulated player with a late 23 first, yeah, go for it. But otherwise, tack on that late 23 first to something and get an insulated piece, go spend up for a Waddle or something like that.
And look at the player's market trajectory too. Yep. Rashad Bateman's not insulated. I love Rashad Bateman. I actually think he's a good value. But you know what? I know between now and April, nobody's going to be going, I need Rashad Bateman. In fact, when you put him up with like all the top 7 or 8 receivers in this year's class, everyone's going to be like, give me the new toy. So like he would be a guy where I want him next year. I'm not interested in sending a late first or an early second to get him right now. Just because I know the market trajectory on my pick versus him, it's going to be favorable that entire time I hold both assets. The pick's always going to be the favorable one until it's not.
Yep. Okay. Let's move over.
Having a rough night here. Again. I was just going to say, but Scott, even if you're forced to make the picks because you can't trade them, just keep in mind, I don't have to keep this player, right? Like if you didn't believe in Jahan Dotson after his first 3 weeks, there was an opportunity to sell high on him, even if you just had to use him with another player to get a better player. So there was definitely my favorite trade of the year is Jahan Dotson and Sky Moore for T. Higgins. When Jahan Dotson's out there scoring 2 touchdowns a week on 1 reception, you know what I mean?
What if you drafted James Cook?
Did you draft any James Cook?
You give up. You just give up. You just give up. You don't play anymore.
That's the risk of making the pick. So
it is definitely.
For the most part, you're gonna get some insulation with the player as long as they show up in OTAs and they're not the worst player on the field,
or they don't fumble in their very first attempt in the NFL, and then their coach just just banishes them.
So we got this super chat from Field. This was very cool. Just started my own fantasy YouTube channel yesterday. Thanks to the inspiration. Keep up the good work. That's awesome, man. Congratulations. Yeah, definitely shoot me a message too. dynastytrades5@gmail.com. Happy to get on the phone with you, get on a Zoom with you, and talk about this YouTube thing because I'm obsessed now, and
Yeah.
we've had some decent success growing it with the community here. So
Yeah,
I can be happy to help out with some tips, things I've learned.
And I'm going to offer up Clay's help too, because all I do is show up and talk.
Well, we would be nothing without you. We would be nothing without Scott. So yeah, man. Well, congratulations again. Appreciate that super chat, man. Okay, so let's go to this one from Adam. Thank you as well, sir. 1 QB start 9. Give Jalen Hurts and Brees Hall to a rebuilder for Ayuk, a 23 first and 23 second. The 23 first will be the 102 to 105 at the latest, and I still have Burrow. Okay, so you're giving Jalen Hurts and Brees Hall to a rebuilder for Ayuk, a early to mid 23 first and a 23 second.
I do not like this. Now, if I could have done Burrow, I still wouldn't like it, but I'd like it more, I guess. Hurts isn't the type of guy I'm trying to give up in a start 9, single quarterback, unless I'm getting back a top 6-7 wide receiver. And I think I'd rather have Brees Hall than the 105 next year, to be quite honest with you. And I don't care about Ayuk in start 9, because if you're starting Ayuk in start 9, things are bad. Things have gone downhill.
Yeah, I have to agree with Shane. I think I'd probably still take an early first over Brees Hall, but then you also gave another team a potential big hammer piece at quarterback that now rivals yours, if not is better than yours. So like you might have actually helped this rebuilder next year. You just gave them the 2 best players, So that's where I'm okay with his thought process. I'm not okay with sending both pieces to one team and getting basically back the tax you made him pay was a 23 second and a receiver that you're not sure is even locked in your lineup. It's the form of the deal here. If he would have traded 2 pieces and gotten back like 2 really strong pieces that make his team better, I'm okay with it. But I think it's the Ayuk in the second for essentially Jalen Hurts is no bueno. So yeah. Can't sign off on this one.
Yeah, it's a give, so it's not like gave. So it may not have happened yet. If it did, then
no. Hopefully you're right. It's future, not past tense. Future. Yeah.
So don't do it if you haven't. But yeah, hopefully that helped you out there, Adam. Okay, so thank you again. Let's move on to the next one here. Okay, this is a good one here from Ryan. You've talked about pivoting down from elite RBs. Would you also do that in an RB heavy league? 16 team, no flex, no PPR.
I mean, I'd want to, but I probably wouldn't be able to, which is more important because a lot of things that I want to do are dependent on will someone let me do them legally and otherwise. If I can, yes, obviously. Like if I'm like, all right, well, here's DeAndre Swift giving me Miles Sanders in a 24 first. I'm going to do that every day of the week. Here's the DeAndre Swift for Ramondre Stevenson in the 24 first. I mean, that's not really even pivoting down at that point, to be quite frank with you. That's just pivoting down from name cachet to more than anything else.
I actually wouldn't. I think the context matters here because you're talking about this is probably a 16 team. Let's just assume it's 1 QB because he doesn't say.
Yep.
1 QB, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, and a tight end. Start 7, no flexes. So you don't really have the ability to embrace the let me shoot for some upside in the flexes, right? Like those, if it's a shallow 16 team start 7, what matters the most? Every single advantage at each one of those spots.
Yeah.
So if I'm sitting on, a guy like Derrick Henry or Joe Mixon, like I'm much less likely to pivot down to another running back because I don't have the ability to embrace the fact that there's some randomness in the flex ranges. Flex ranges is where a lot of the randomness takes place, right? That's where your wide receiver 3s, 4s, 5s, RB2s, 3s. That's where those guys live on a weekly basis. This format, no, man. If I got the elite running backs, especially being a standard, no PPR.
Yeah.
Basically, give me running backs. They're the most likely weekly to shoot for touchdowns. So I think I play it totally opposite of how we normally talk.
Yep. Good question. Okay, so Matthew gave us a super chat. Thank you very much. And here was his question. 12 team super flex PPR start 9. He's number 1 in the league. His QBs are Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. Running backs are Saquon, Kamara, Ramondre Stevenson, Cordell Patterson. Wide receivers are Devontae Adams, Godwin, DK, Sutton, and Claypool. And he's got Mandrews at tight end. Want to consolidate for a top wide receiver, only have owned 23 first. So he's got a late 23 first. He's number 1 in the league right now. He's awesome at QB, no touchy. Running back, so Kamara, Ramondre.
It's a good running back, right?
Yeah,
and I'm not
yeah.
honestly, and I'm not touching it. If you can go get a receiver for a 2-for-1 deal, if you want to trade your own first, because it's obviously going to be a late pick. If you want to throw your first plus Chase Claypool or something and try to get a better receiver, or your first and Cordero Patterson and try to get another receiver, that's fine. But I mean, this is a start 9, right? So he's probably starting 3 receivers in a flex. I don't need better receivers than Chris Godwin, DK Metcalf, Cortland Sutton, Devontae Adams. Like, sure, would I like to get younger? Would I like to have another guy that's just like an absolute stud? Yeah, but like you got Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Mark Andrews, and Saquon Barkley, and then you're rotating between the other 3 at running back too. Like, you don't need to overpay for an elite receiver. This team's already like got championship written on it, I think.
Yeah, you're good.
So, and if you tack on a late 23 first to Cortland Sutton, it's not like I don't know if you'll be able to get high enough up, to where it'll make that much of a difference. You'd have to tack on like a late 23 first to DK maybe to get Waddle. Would you do that, or would you not even bother with that?
Well, here's the other thing. We don't know what his league's like in terms of activity. We don't know if there's a trade deadline or if this is my team and I'm in a typical league like that we're in where we don't have a trade deadline or it's right before the playoffs and it's pretty active, with this roster that he has right now, do you really have to make a move right now to trade away your first? You can wait 4 weeks and go let me reassess to what my team looks like going into the playoffs. If I have an injury, if I have a player where maybe Russell Wilson got hurt and it's like Brett Rippon the rest of the year and you're like, I don't want Cortland Sutton. Like, that's when you make the move. The way I play it, even in a start 9, I'm not trying to do a 3-for-1 deal in week 10 because it could blow up. And then it's like, all right, I have this awesome roster, but now there has 2 holes and I don't have any way to get out of it.
Yeah, and I mean, if you hold on to that late first too, let's say you win the ship, on the clock next year, you may be holding that 112 and somebody wants to give you a 24 first, or you can target what's looking like it's going to be a very nice 24 first and just trade out of the 23 class with that pick. You still got a strong team. So,
yep.
High69mega.com.
Oh, nice. We got some spammers coming in.
Yeah.
All right. That means that we've got a lot of likes from our guests here.
Good job, guys. Gals, everyone.
All right, let's keep going here. Austin gave us a super chat. Thank you very much. Here was his question. What would you do with JT? Losing record, middle of the pack roster. Already have 5 top 15, 23 picks.
Yeah, you just got to keep them in your pocket. Unless someone's going to give you remotely the value that you could have gotten before the season. Is anyone going to give you already have 523 first, so I'm guessing first are limited since you have 5 of them. I'm not great with math. 5 out of 12 is 43% or so. That's not correct. That's not even remotely right. But either way, I think you just hold on to them. Look, I know I hate holding on to running backs, especially on a losing roster. You can be aggressive and try to go trade him for, I guess, a wide receiver straight up. Can you get George Pickens plus? I just said straight up and then told you to get George Pickens plus, but whatever. Because you can't get Chris Olave. You can't get, maybe you could get Drake London. I don't know, because his numbers haven't been popping. So I'd spam him for wide receivers in that range that I like. Otherwise, you're going to be forced to hold him, I think.
Yeah, 2 angles. One, you could trade him if you can get not the old JT value, but maybe the before the Colts imploded JT value, like 2 firsts, and one of them is Garrett Wilson and a 24 first or something like that. Like, if you can get that type of deal, take it, because we always say if you're not winning, you don't need running backs. You can build a running back room, a damn good one, in less than a year. The other alternative is you keep JT and you look at those picks and you say, all right, this is going to be a strong running back class, but I'm going to anchor my team around Jonathan Taylor next year and bank on him bouncing back. Then you're not pressured to draft all the running backs in the 23 class. So you can play it one of two ways. But think about which angle you're going to go. Like you can either keep JT or you can bank on getting running backs with those picks and trade them away for a receiver.
Yep. Okay. Let's keep powering through here. We can do this, guys. We got a lot starred. We're, I guess, done starring them, guys. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
All right. And no more super chats, please.
Yeah. I want to
Appreciate all of you.
Shane,
Yeah.
is your hands off the mouse?
Yes.
Yeah, Shane. Stay with us here, bud. Let's go to we already did that one, so let me unstar that. Okay, Daddy Mayhem. I have Barkley. Thank you very much for the super chat, Daddy. I have Barkley, Olave, JT, Garrett Wilson. I'll turn that into a TikTok. JMO, Fields, Burrow, Wandale, Dulcich, Kyron Williams in a 6-man keeper, 10-man PPR. Who am I keeping? Okay, 6 keepers. Okay.
Barkley, Olave, JT.
Is it super flex or not?
Yeah, I know. Let us know if you're still in here, Daddy.
I mean, really, even if it's super flex or not, the only questionable one for me would be Joe Burrow then.
I'm keeping Burrow and Fields, and then
Yeah.
I'll worry. If it's not super flex, I'd even keep those two because I actually think they're very similar in value in terms of like what you could trade them for, like compared to JMO. And yeah, I'm keeping those guys.
I'm definitely keeping, obviously, Barkley, Olave, JT, Garrett.
So
Wilson.
if it's super flex, take JMO out, but you're keeping everybody else at the front.
I think super flex, it's easy, right? Burrow, Fields, and then the first 4. Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah, and honestly, Wandale, Dulcich, Kyron Williams. Hey, Kyron Williams has been activated, but
yeah,
no, that's where I'm going to.
Yep. Okay. Keep on cooking here. Gavin's got an inbox trade. Let's help him out here. DK Metcalf or an early 23 first and a 24 second.
Done. See you, DK.
Bye to Kalen.
I'd be okay holding on to DK here, but I get it.
Yeah. So if it's the 104, Scott, gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what did we just talk about with like Drake London and Garrett Wilson? Right?
I know. I guess I'm higher on DK.
Shane is DK's good. He's not great. That is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, he does have an elite quarterback right now.
Historically, he is not as good, and he's not been as good this year as Marquise Brown. If that was Marquise Brown in that trade, what would you say? The first, easy, right? Not even close.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. I like DK, but I think people see a guy that's, 6'3", 230 pounds and runs like he does, and it's like, oh my God, he's going to be Randy Moss. It's like, no, he's not going to be.
Yeah, I kind of like having DK as an asset too, just because he's always going to be a live asset. Like all he needs is one of those giant games where he does something crazy, or like chases down an interception return, tackles a guy. Like he's an exciting player, and he's always going to have some value. Paul, 12-team Superflex 101. Small chance it falls to the 102, 103 for Chase. Okay, so let's say it's the 101 or Jamar Chase right now.
Chase. Yeah.
Jamar Chase. Okay. So you're happy, or you're more than fine then, obviously, if it's 102 or 103. So we're saying give up the 101, 102, or 103 for Jamar Chase.
Yes.
And if that was my 101 that I'm trading away, I still want to get Chase, but then I'm going to go and try to buy some cheap points just to spite the person I traded it
to. Yeah, right.
Yeah, if I can get that to the 102, I feel so good about myself.
Oh my gosh. Yep. All right. So we'll move that one here. Gregory, thank you for the super chat, man. What are your thoughts on Josh Palmer in PPR formats? So does he have, it depends on how shallow the league is too, right? So start 9, you're not counting on him to necessarily be long-term relevant, right?
Yeah. So he basically needed, I hate to sound like this, but he needed Mike Williams and Keenan Allen to go away to really, he hasn't actually popped, but to perform. which is disconcerting. Now, I said the same thing about Amon-Ra St. Brown last year, but Amon-Ra St. Brown was a much better college player, and he hit immediately in the pros. I like Josh Palmer as like my wide receiver 6, 7, but that's basically, I don't think you can count on him for anything beyond that. He's most definitely not even remotely near a foundational piece. I mean, he's doubled his scoring from last year, which is great. It's just I think this Young's limited with him.
Yeah, I mean, he's played basically every game this year except for 1.5 without either Mike Williams or Keenan Allen. So that has made him pretty clearly, you've gotten a view of like what he is. I mean, you look at his market share, even with those guys not there, it's less than 20%. Like his yards per route run is pretty low. He's essentially, it's interesting because he hasn't had like the blow up games, but he's very similar to like Michael Gallup. Yet he's also attached to a good quarterback. So I actually think he's a player you still want to kind of have, but you just don't want to buy. So if you have him, like I think he clearly fits the definition of I would go into next year and I would count him within like that threshold of like he's not a player that I'm like trying to ship off for a third, you know. But I'm also sitting there going like I'm gonna have to find specific spots to play him, and you really have to hope the Chargers fix their offense because it's broken this year. But if they fix their offense and you put him in an efficient system with a good quarterback, there's going to be games where it's like, okay, he's clearly the number 3 guy, but he still is going to end up with top 40 numbers. So I like him. I mean, I would buy him if he disappoints and then, you know, the narrative is in the offseason that they're going to replace him. So I like him.
Yep. Okay. Thank you very much for that super chat. Let's go on to the next one here. Steve, I have Tony and Sky Moore. Would like to only keep the one with the best prospects. I'm thinking it's Tony. Am I wrong?
I think you have to look at the fact that the Chiefs had Sky Moore and they traded for Kadarius Toney. We'll see. With McCole Hardman not playing for the next week or two, it'll be interesting to see. They're both going to get more opportunity. So I would lean. I'd rather have Toney because we've already seen him literally have a 2.5 game stretch, and people are giving up, you know, a first plus for him. Like that, it's there. If he goes out tomorrow and, you know, 8 for 100 and scores a touchdown, people are going to be right back in. So I would prefer Toney if I have him on a roster.
Yeah, like Scott said, dude, they had Sky Moore on the roster, and then they said, you know what we need to do? We need to trade more draft capital, good draft capital, like a second and a third, right? Or a third, something like that.
Third and a sixth.
Third and a sixth. So like a third's a pretty significant piece to give up for a player. And they did after spending a second on Sky Moore. Look, and maybe they just look at them as one's not affecting the other. Like it's quite possible they're like, you know, Kadarius Toney was just like, wow, this could look at our lineup next year. Look at our wide receivers when we have Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore in there. So, but if I had to lean one, it's going to be Toney right now. I mean, getting out of Sky Moore where I can.
All right, let's keep on keeping on here. We're an hour and 27 minutes in. This time flies, man. We could do this. We say it every time. We could do this for freaking hours. We would have plenty of questions. Got a lot of people hanging out. Austin, I traded 323 first for CMC, Godwin, and Deontay Johnson in a start 11.5 PPR. I then traded the same owner, Swift and Brees, for 2 top 4 23 firsts next year. Did I win? Projected champion now. Yes.
So you gave up a first and Brees and Swift for CMC, Godwin, and Deontay Johnson. Right? Is that how the math works?
And he probably upgraded the first two.
And he upgraded the picks. Yeah. No, I like this. I liked it even in the first half when I just read I traded 3 first for Deontay Johnson, Godwin, and CMC just as a contender. I'm like, all right, I can do that. And then to trade him again or her and then get it to upgrade the picks. Good job.
And a guy he traded with now has 3 later first than probably the 2 he has, and that'll be the same guy he'll trade back with on the clock and probably get more future picks. Just bury that team first. Even more.
We put up a bragger. And we didn't even know it. A sneaky brag there. No, nicely done, Austin. Okay, Jackson's got one here. 10 teams, start 8. 1 mid 23 first, 2 late 23 first for CD and Olave. In a rebuild, after the trade, we'll have 3 more 23 firsts, 5 and 24, 3 and 25. Okay, so start 8, 10 team. Are you giving up a mid first and 2 late first for
Yes.
CD and Olave? Yes.
Yes, I am.
Those are the
Yeah.
types of players you want to buy in a rebuild, and that's good value on them.
In a start 8 late first, like I don't know if I'll ever get to start those guys. There's not many chances in this universe that I won't be starting CD, Lamb, and Olave. Probably on their bye weeks. Good chance I won't start them then, but that's about it.
So yeah, and you're still gonna have like a bunch of other firsts. Yeah, don't even hesitate on that one. Don't have any remorse for selling all those firsts. Buying good players. Okay. I see this this super chat. I guess we already answered Brian's question maybe on a previous one that I unstarred. We positive about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just didn't flash this. Okay, cool. All right. So we will move that one. Kyle popped in here earlier when we were asked if we could have nonstop or like pay for a service where you can ask about trades all day. Shane and Scott already have Patreons that are basically year-round trade talks. Yes, they are. They have group me's where it's nonstop chatter all day, minimal, just chit chat. It's just Dynasty talk. So you can check out their Patreons, Dynasty and Chill and Dynasty Trades HQ. I also have an app, Dynasty Pandemic, that you can download. We do the same thing on there. It's just Dynasty. It's a Dynasty chat app. So if that sounds cool to you, join us on there as well. Okay, let's move that. Oh, and check out Full Press Fantasy, Kyle's podcast.
Definitely check out Full Press.
Definitely
Fantasy.
check that out. He puts out a lot of content. Okay. Do you upload the roster reviews? No, we don't yet. We don't yet.
We'll leave it there.
We'll leave it there. ...
Dun,
dun, dun. We need the sound effects. Connor, 12 team, start 11, Superflex, PPR, 6-point passing touchdown. Give Justin Fields, Joe Burrow, Rashad White, Derrick Henry. Get Mahomes, Derek Carr, and Alvin Kamara.
Nope.
Scott shaking his head. Big no there.
I mean, I know he's getting Mahomes, but I mean, Burrow in a 6-point passing touchdown is like QB3, QB4, and he's getting Fields. So you're getting 2 top 8, top 10 quarterbacks. I'd rather have Derrick Henry over Alvin Kamara and getting a free Rashad White. I mean, Derek Carr, I'm just not doing this. I'd rather just have the other side for the value and the roster construction. So yeah, I'll pass.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass as well. It's nice getting Mahomes, but no.
I mean, I think we'd all trade our Mahomes for Burrow and Fields, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And Burrow, I mean, Scott talked about this a little bit on the roster reviews. Like Burrow's slowly creeping up into that elite tier of quarterback for me, not just like that QB1. Like he's already moved past the Dak and Kirk Cousins range. And he's kind of creeping like, hey, what's up, Deshaun Watson and you guys up there? I'm coming for you.
Yeah. Like in Superflex startups where you're like, I'm in that range where I'm like Dak, Burrow, this and that. He's gotten to where he's less of a head scratch.
He's like Drew Brees. He's gonna end up being like QB 4 to 10 every year. He probably doesn't have the ceiling to be the QB1 because he doesn't run enough, but like you feel safe having him, and then you add the upside of Fields. Like, I love that.
Yep. Okay, it looks like we've got like 4 or 5 more here. So Jaden's got a question. 2 QB start 10, Tua and Waddle or Jamar Chase and the 104 to 106 in 23. So it's a 2 QB start 10, Tua and Waddle or Jamar Chase in a mid 23 first.
Man, how far apart are Jamar and Waddle?
Like a late 23 first.
I think in this format too, given it's 2 QBs, I probably value Tua a little higher than what his market price says, even though it's a 10 team.
Yeah.
So really it's what can I do with that 104 to 106 to get another quarterback? If I can add a second to that pick and get like Fields, then I'm taking the Chase and the pick side. But there's some intrigue with getting the Waddle to a stack, like you can see where you just plug and play that for the next couple of years and you're probably not taking a loss from a points perspective,
Yeah, I think I have to take Tua and Waddle here.
Just I'm okay taking either side, really.
It's 2 QB, and I'm looking at worst case scenario. I love Jamar, obviously, but let's say that's the 106. Then I'm forcing myself to draft Will Levis at 106 when, I'm good. or Hendon Hooker. Nah, I'm gonna hold with Tua and Waddle. I won't love it, but I will do it.
Yeah, the 2 QB aspect too. If it's super flex, it's maybe a touch different. I don't know. Two
No,
QB.
super flex. 10 team super flex. I wouldn't do this because I would value that. I think I could go buy easily a guy that can score close to Tua for that 104 to 106.
Right.
2 QB, people are gonna hold on to him a little tighter.
Next one here. Thank you very much for the super chat, Jake. 10 team, half PPR. Okay, so QB, it's 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. Start 9. Start 10. Okay, so it's a 10 team, half PPR, start 10, super flex. Send guaranteed top 4, 23 first. Receive Zach Wilson and Garrett Wilson and a 24 second. Okay, so let's just say, so it's guaranteed top 4. So let's say 102 or Zach Wilson, Garrett Wilson, and a 24 second.
Man, this is definitely going to depend upon my mood, but I'm thinking I'm taking it. I like Garrett Wilson a whole bunchy lot. And Zach Wilson has been less chatter about how awful he is the last couple of weeks, by the way.
I mean, he's still here's what I'll say. I agree with Shane, and it's not because I think Zach Wilson's been better. He actually hasn't been really that good at all. But you know what? That's the Garrett Wilson's quarterback for at least the next year, if not the next 2 years. So you're almost saying, if I'm paying this price, a top 4 first for Garrett Wilson, I need Zach Wilson to be like respectable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's some correlation in this trade too. If this is like Mac Jones, I'd be like, okay, I'm okay not taking the trade, but you're getting the stack. Like if Garrett Wilson takes it to the next level to make it worth that pick, Zach Wilson's going to have to be a little better. So I like doing that just for the fact that you're getting the stack.
I totally agree. If it were somebody other than Zach Wilson or somebody other than Garrett Wilson, if it weren't a stack, totally different story. Yep. All right. Thank you for that super chat. We got 2 more. So Byronic, should I trade my 23 early first and late 23 first and a 24 second for Dak, Pitts, Jacobs, and a 23 third?
First, late first for Dak. Yeah. Pitch. Yeah. Jacobs. Yeah. We're going to do this. We're definitely going to do this.
It's not even close, right?
Yeah. This isn't.
You're getting Pitts and Dak and Jacobs for 2 firsts.
Yeah. We're definitely going to do that. Yeah. Go hit accept immediately underscore.
Oh, let me do this one too, because I promised this guy I was gonna put his up here. This is our friend Tony. He's a sub of ours, and he also chats with us over on TikTok. He's a non-troll over there, and I told him we put this up here. So 12 team, 1 QB PPR, start 8, rebuild, give the 104 and the 210. So he must know that that's what they're going to be, or that's where they are at this point. Get Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and a third. Context, he already has the 101 and 102. He's got Pitts, London, and Garrett Wilson as his core. So he's a rebuild, start 8, 1 QB. Are you giving the 104 and 210 for Amon-Ra, St. Brown?
No. And this might be me falling back into my old habits on Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? Like he hasn't really smashed this year between injuries and whatnot. So now I'm all like, maybe he's not elite. Maybe he's just good. And I don't want to give the 104 for just good.
Yeah, especially since you already have the 101 and the 102. I'm okay kind of holding that because then you can see how the class finds out or how it plays out. You can move. Maybe you get a better receiver for one of those 102s instead.
Okay. Yep. I think I told him, and it's not necessarily a move you have to make right now either, right? I mean, that could very easily be available down the road if you want it. Okay, hopefully that helped you out, man. Let's go back to the comments. We've got a couple more, 2 more super chats, and then we'll call it a night. The Real AI, thank you. 12 team super flex. Give Russell Wilson, get Aaron Rodgers, Malik Willis, and a 25 first. Already have Deshaun Watson.
I mean, because
getting a free Malik Willis and 25 first.
Yeah, I don't know. Right? Scott doesn't like this deal, does he? He believes in Russell Wilson. He thinks he's going to turn it around.
I actually, yeah, I'm torn on this one because I think Russell Wilson has a decent shot to at least get back to like. I mean, is he ever going to be like the QB8 like he was valued in the offseason? Probably not. But I almost feel like you're getting maybe some empty packages on the other side. They look like they're nice presents, but they're really just full of air, you know?
I'm
So
taking it.
I think I'm okay taking the Russell Wilson side.
Yeah, I'm taking it and running. Russell Wilson is beyond bad. He is hot trash. He's on pace for 13 touchdowns throwing this year. I've never really, and admittedly, I've never been a Russell Wilson guy. I got him over the offseason because I was like, oh, he's going to a new team. They're definitely going to let him cook. And we've seen what's happened. It's been absolutely brutal. And it's not.
I did not remove him. I don't know if he clicked on a button or something
Oh,
like that.
that's
Or
so hilarious because he was on like this soapbox and then just bounces.
I did not
Okay.
remove him. I promise.
That is so funny. The real AI moved him. Oh, here he comes.
Here he comes.
We'll let him finish.
I got a message. That wasn't my fault. It literally said, "This is not your fault. There was an error." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Anyway, no, I'm out on Russell Wilson. Get rid of him.
There we go. All right, let's move us over to the proper spots here. Okay, here's our last one here. Last super chat and last question of the night. So Amon Ra and who's S Torrey?
Samari Torre. Yeah.
From the Packers.
Okay, all right. It's like Amon Ra and Samari Torre from the Packers for a 23 first, mid to late, and Kenneth Gainwell. Love y'all. Thank you.
Yeah. So we were just talking at the 104. I'll take that bet over Amon Ra, but a late first. I think I'll hold on to Amon Ra here. I don't care about Kenny Gainwell. That dude, you can never start Kenny Gainwell. He's getting absolutely no work. He gets a few touches here and there a game, and yes, he will score a touchdown. And in the end of the year, you're going to be like, hey, he averaged 7 points a game. He wasn't absolutely useless. Trust me, he's useless. So I'll just hold on to Amon Ra and Torrey because his name is fun, and he's Aaron Rodgers' new favorite weapon.
Yep.
Yeah. If this guy for some reason wanted Samari Torre, sell him to that guy for a fourth and keep Amon Ra. So you're keeping Amon Ra St. Brown here.
Keeping Amon Ra. It's tough to call it quits right now. We got 240 people in here, but we got to do it.
I wanted to make this comment. Would the people be down for us to maybe do a long live stream at some point?
Is this a short one?
I mean, long, like
how long?
I don't know. How long would people want to go? How long can we keep it rolling? How much could your brain take, Clay, of having to manage Shane and I?
It would, whatever, man. I'm down. I'll do it. I'll do it. I mean, it depends on how long, and I'll just have to butter my wife up, get her some kind of present. We'll go 24 hours, something like that.
Yeah, we've talked 24 hours. I would love to spend 24 hours with Shane. That would be, I mean, I would get enough laughs for the month.
I mean, what's the over under on him kicking himself off the stream?
Well, here's the problem.
Like, how many times in 24 hours?
We got to integrate cigarette breaks into that. There's going to be cigarette breaks.
There's going to have to be bathroom breaks and stuff like that. But yeah,
we could rotate out. We could take like 10, 15-minute breaks and rotate out. Yeah.
Okay, we see people in the chat here going 3 hours, 4 to 6. Hour and a half is good. Okay, well, you stayed on longer. Thanks for joining for the extra 13 minutes. No, I hear you. Hour and a half is more digestible, but yeah, whatever. We could do it for a long time, and if people want to hang, they can. Otherwise, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we can do something. Maybe we can have some guests come in and stuff. We can make it a big thing.
Until we run out of questions, I think would be a good thing. Because the reason I brought it up is because we've had a lot of live streams where we've left 100 questions, and it's like, I want to get to all of them.
Oh yeah.
But if we stayed here, it'd be like, until people literally went away and the views went down to like nothing, then yeah, it would be just question after question. So I want to just get to everybody. That's why I brought it up.
I gotta put this one up. This is freaking hilarious. I'm not even gonna read it. You can read it up on the screen, but that's absolutely freaking hilarious. All right. Well, we are done for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been fun as always. We'll plan on seeing you guys next Tuesday. But yeah, keep the trades and stuff going in the comments. Again, we always love it when you help each other out answering questions while you're in there. If you're leaving a comment, maybe give your thoughts on somebody else's. It's cool seeing the community interact like that, and you guys know your stuff too. So I will say goodbye, Shane, Scott.
No, great job. Great stream. Look forward to another week of football. Good luck to everybody in week 10. And we should be back next week, hopefully twice.
I can't wait to talk about John Wolford and Colt McCoy on Tuesday. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, right. All right. See you guys. Adios.
Later.